a game designer, look at that. You get to design to make people empowered or to create affection. There's such an amazing, rich lusciousness of emotion and very subtle, magical things. I'm playing a game right now called The Road Not Taken, and it's full of hard decisions and saving who you can and heartbreak. It's really extraordinary. And when we talk about negative emotions, we try to avoid frustration, right? Again, small box of crayons. Well, game designers have all these rich negative emotions they design for. And that's another thought, too. We avoid, they will design for. Now, that may sound a little counterintuitive, but if you've ever played Plants vs. Zombies, right? This is the best moment. This is like, you just lost, but it's, curse you, villain, I will get you next time. I will not rest until I've got you, right? And it turns out there's science behind this. There were some wonderful studies done in Norway that showed that our greatest moment of arousal is actually not when we win, because when we win, we're like, okay, cool, what else you got? But when we almost win, there's a longing, a needing to beat this, and that's a very exciting emotion. And I love starting to work with these ideas. Another one is player types versus personas. You know, we all know Grace, we all design for her, we love her to death, right? But you know Grace. But Richard Bartle did a study of muds and moos, and I don't know if you are quite that nerdy, but this is a place where you go online and you pretend to, you know, be somebody hunting dragons and hanging out with hobbits, and it's a good time. And Richard Bartle studied, and he found out there were 4 reasons people played these kinds of games. There were the killers, and these guys are the spoilers. They're the trolls. And you go up to them in, you know, your local pub, and you say, hey, would you like to go on a grand adventure with me? And they say, guess not. Slice your head off. They're messing with you. You might walk up to an achiever, and they're the ones who always want to be the best. They want the biggest toys. And if you go up to an achiever and ask them, do you want to go on an adventure with me? They'd be like, how much gold you got? 10 coins? I got 2,000. They're done. They're happy. They're the best. We have the socialites, which are the people that you go up to and say, you want to go on an adventure? And they're like, just 1 second. So Sarah's having the baby. What should we get? It turns out there are people playing things like Ultima Online, EverQuest, World of Warcraft, and they're literally not playing. They're not going on quests. They just log on and chat. It's like a really expensive, fancy chat room. But they love it. They love it. And then there's the explorers. These are people like me. And you say, would you like to go on an adventure? And they're like, where are you going? The mountain. I haven't been there. I'm in. They want to map every single part. And almost all game designers are explorers, and I'm going to guess most of you guys are as well. So a lot of people try to put Bartle on everything, but a lot of game designers have been saying there aren't killers and socializers everywhere in the world. We have to think about how do people engage with other kinds of games. So this is the work of Amy Jo Kim. She works on social games, and she says when people are playing things like Farmville, et cetera, you know, the things you play on Facebook, we have people want to express themselves and have a beautiful farm. We still have our competitors and explorers, but there are people who love making things together. Perhaps you might consider people who would want to do a quilting bee. The people who hang out in Michael's, these are the people who love Farmville. So I asked myself, what if Amazon was a game? Is there behavioral types we could design to support, right? So we have satisficers. Again, this is me. I want something, I don't want to be ripped off, but I don't really want to go to 20 websites to figure out if I'm being ripped off good enough. And I think that's where they started. Their job was to say, we've looked at enough places and we've got enough prices for you, you're good, you can just trust us. We have the socializers. When they first started, they had reviews, and the problem is conversations were getting broken up because the highest rated would go on top, but then people would try to reply to it. So now, of course, they have replies, they have forums. By understanding that there were people who really, really, really wanted to go online and talk about Green Lantern for 3 hours, you know, they support that because they might buy some more Green Lanterns along the way. And the optimizers, they want the cheap stuff. For them, we got the gold box. And this is just might be me, but I have a theory that there are self-discovery people, people who love going to the Christina's page or Alan Cooper's page and saying, oh, look, oh my gosh, Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, how do you know me so well, Amazon? You're amazing. So there is sort of a wonderful moment in that. And once you understand how people interact with your website, I think it's a lot more powerful than just a persona. Sure, Grace has trouble logging on with her Windows 97 system, and that's important to know. But it might be interesting to know that she logs on because she wants to chat with her grandkids and spend lots of time, and that she is a very social person. The last concept from game design that I want to hit before we go a little deeper into these childish things is core loops. So a core loop is a way to get people back into your game. So what I see when I work with UX teams is often they're like, oh, and you go on, and you go through registration flow, and you buy something, and you check out. And I'm like, and then what happens? You're successful, you're happy, you have surprise and delight. When you look at a game like Fishville, which is an evil game, by the way. My daughter used to play it, and I was going to LA regularly, and I had to keep the fish alive while I was in LA. I spent a lot of money replacing those fish. It was just like real life. But in it, you buy these fish eggs, they hatch, you feed them, they get big and beautiful, you sell them to buy more expensive fish eggs. And this is a loop that keeps people coming back again and again and again. And core loops do exist in UX. Do you guys recognize this one? Amazon? Yelp. Is it a travel site? This is one of the most powerful loops that exist in UX, period. Because once you buy, you have a sense of gratitude. You want to give money back. So you come back and you give a review. So one of the questions I always like to ask people is, what is your core loop? When people finish that experience, how do you suck them back in? Is it a sense of thank the people who helped you make your shopping decision? Is it return and see there's comments on whatever you posted? How do you pull people back in the system? So obviously, game design will make you rock. I'm just going to put it out there. You should all go to GDC next year, Game Developers Conference. But I got to ask myself, is that all there is? Like, I think there's a fair number of talks about game design. It's cool. I think there's something deeper. I think there's play. And play is a little more profound for me. I was listening to a guy talk, and he was saying, I'm tired of working 10-hour days. And I was like, oh, you only work 10 hours a day? Good work. There's this thing which is productive and time-saving devices, and they want more hours of us, and they give us the phones, they can talk to us on vacation, and why do we agree? Well, this is the promise, right? But this is the reality. Somebody else is getting that money. Somebody else is getting this money. I was just reading Harvard Business Review, and it turns out that only Saudi Arabia makes more money and gives less to its citizens and services than us, which might be why so many people are angry. When you make money, you should give it back, and we should be paid in play, in joy, in time. This is fundamental to us.